Abhinav holds many records. He is the only Indian who has won an Olympic gold medal in polo games. Abhinav also holds the record of being the youngest shooter in the world to compete in Olympics at the age of 17. Abhinav has competed in 5 Olympics, 3 Asian Games, 10 European Circuit Championships. He has represented India in 70 World Cups, 5 Commonwealth Games, and 2 All-American Shooting Championships. I mean, wow. Abhinav, how did you get this love of shooting? Was it love? Was it discovered love? Was it infatuation?
Well, I don't think, when I started out at age 12 or 13, and at that point of time in my life, I hated sport.
Okay.
I hated any kind of physical activity, and I was in boarding school initially, and there was a lot of opportunity to play sport there, but I was an expert in bunking all the sports classes. I was an expert in missing anything related to physical fitness or physical training, anything which meant that I had to move.
Okay.
So when I moved to Chandigarh, I got introduced to my coach, my first coach, Colonel Hill, and I went to his house to try out shooting. And after my first little training session, I came back home and I said, oh, to be successful in this sport, you just have to stand still. So that was the first reason why I liked shooting. And I think that was the real reason. After that, of course, it became addictive, and I wanted to excel. Initially, my desire was to compete at a district competition, and probably that was my true goal.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else was greed, but initially it was to somehow make it to a district level competition. That was my initial goal.
So after you achieved your initial goal, you competed at district level. What motivated you to actually go and practice each and every day? What was your ambition?
I was greedy to do better. I was greedy to excel at a higher level. I wanted to get better, but of course there was the desire and motivation was very intrinsic. I mean, when you want to excel at a high level or at a world level, it has to come from within. Nobody can push you towards it. It has to come from deep within yourself if you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And my motivation somehow was pretty intrinsic even at that point in time. And that's when it all started. And then after moving from the district level, I competed at the nationals. And I first competed at my first Commonwealth Games at age 14 or 15.
Right.
And then of course I competed at the Olympics in Sydney at age 17. So that's how it kind of started.
How do you develop that kind of focus when you were doing it every single day?
Well, again, when you want to achieve something and you want to do well, of course the motivation has to be intrinsic. You want it from deep within your own gut.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, to excel at anything which is competitive, you have to make immense sacrifices, and you have to put everything that you have and push yourself to the limit, get out of your comfort zone, and be at it every single day. Yeah, it was a hard life. I trained about 40 hours a week. My day started at 6 o'clock in the morning, where I started with physical training. I went to shoot at about 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30. I shot till about noon, went back to the gym, had lunch, half an hour break after lunch, went back to shoot or went back to the gym, did things for mental training. So I had a full day. I would start at 6 o'clock in the morning and get over 6:37 at night, and then I'd have dinner and then I'd go to bed, and even in my sleep I would be dreaming about shooting and on my ways to perform better and how to win a medal and things like that. So it was a continuous process which just went on and on for 22 years of my life.
Any books you would recommend to people?
Yeah, I read my book.
A lot of us actually dread failure, we want to avoid failure. How do you deal with failures?
There is no recipe for overcoming failure. It hurts, it's hard, it's disappointing, but use it to your advantage. Use it to push yourself more. Failure can be a great motivator at times. It is a kick of your backside as with a steel-toed boot. So it can push you to work harder. You learn from it. You see where you made a mistake, and you learn to improve. And you try and do better next day.
How do you avoid distractions?
Well, you have to learn to make sacrifices. You have to learn to prioritize. You have to see what is the best, what is going to make you succeed. Avoiding a few distractions will help you perform better. Then you avoid them. My biggest internal satisfactions have not come when I won big championships or big medals. My best internal satisfactions came when nobody was watching. When, for example, on a winter day, and I was in the gym, and I was doing sit-ups, and my trainer counted 2 repetitions less than what was needed to be done, and I say, no, you've done it wrong, and I need to do 2 more. That's what makes you feel good. Because when you look into the mirror at the end of the day, and you know that you've been extremely honest to yourself and remain completely dedicated to your goal and to your endeavor, and that is what is most important. Success is nice, the outcome is important. The success is nice, the outcome is important, but at the end of the day it's only a medal, and the medal goes onto the wall. I don't wear it everywhere I go. So at the end of the day it's an outcome, but what is more important is the process, what is more important is the journey.
In India, there is a lack of infrastructure. How did you overcome that problem?
I had to travel outside. I think I went on my first trip to Germany with my mother at age 13. I lived in Germany for 2 months. And I trained most of the time overseas because we lacked that, apart from the infrastructure, we lacked that know-how and that knowledge, which is very, very essential to set up a strong foundation. And I always had to go outside and train and compete. And that's what it took. Everywhere in the West, my competitors had access to everything on a daily basis, 365 days a year, which I did not. I was always going and coming back and filling the gaps. And that's what in our country we need to work towards and develop, because at the end of the day we need those facilities, that know-how, that knowledge available to our talent on a daily basis. That is very, very important.
Could you tell us a bit about the secrets of mind? Because one of the biggest things that to control is your mind, right? And you have had good trainers guiding you. Can you tell us a bit about that?
The mind is like a monkey. I mean, when you compete in an Olympic final, you're scared, and you're afraid, and you're like an infant. I worked on it. I worked a lot on my focus. I worked on my concentration. For example, I used a lot of scientific methods to improve that. I did a lot of biofeedback and neurofeedback training. Before Beijing, I did about 200 hours of neurofeedback. Neurofeedback is when you map your brain. My brain was mapped, and then we figured out patterns when I was shooting well, and then I would train to be in that mindset and in that level of concentration. I am not a self-confident person generally. I kind of can't relate to that fact, to that way of thinking. But what I always felt good about was that when I went into an Olympic Games, I knew that I had done everything possible in my hand or in my control to prepare for that event. And I put in all what I could in the entire period of time in that preparation and do all what I could do to succeed. And that's what gave me a good feeling going into it, and that's what gave me that feeling that yes, things will be all right.
So are you doing something for the shooters right now, so that the problems you face, people don't want to face those problems? How are you supporting the shooting infrastructure here?
Well, in terms of shooting, I've run a foundation for the last 10 years, which supports 30 athletes, shooting athletes, and we provide them scholarships and give them equipment support. I do this with my foundation, the foundation based out of Bangalore. I've also tried to set up a high performance training center in Mohali at the moment. And we've been having quite a lot of athletes coming in. That's not just shooting specific, but it's also works in different sports.
What is the message that you have for the young people out there, or the old too, who are right now in the midst of pursuing their path to happiness or success? What's your advice for them?
I think the only message that I'd like to give is that you have to persevere. You have to keep at it. There are no secrets to success. You have to carve first. You have to find your own path towards success. But that will only come through perseverance. There will be good days. There will be many bad days, and you just need to keep trying.
You know, your family has been very supportive in where you are today, and I think they have played a good part. And you have mentioned your mother as one of your biggest supporters, and as your father. What is your advice for the Indian parents, I would call it, because many of them are sitting here, many of them put pressures on the kids to perform to the best. What is your advice for parents, very specifically? Is there any?
Yeah, I think I'll give you a little bit of history. My parents were a very important figure. My entire family was a very important figure in my sporting career. They supported me with facilities and things like that. But to be, in all honesty, that was not the most important thing. The most important thing for me was their belief in you. You know, as you may have heard, realized by now I'm not the most positive of persons and more realistic. So when in my career there were many dark moments and difficult moments when I wanted to quit. And whenever I felt hopeless, my parents and my family saw a lot of hope in me. I remember the Athens Olympic Games where I had just broken an Olympic record in the qualification and went to the final, and then I ended up 7th. And at that time, my world had fallen apart. I was disappointed, and I was hurt, and I was crying, and things like that. And my mother came up to me and said that, all what you could have done today was win a bronze medal, and that's not your goal. Your goal is to win a gold medal, and you will win a gold medal. So just to put it into perspective, I think you should also support your children. I think you should always have a lot of belief in them, and then try and make sure that they put in their best, they do the hard work, and then just let them be, let them develop, and let them just be, and I'm sure that they do well.
They do well, and you've done pretty good for yourself. Can we have a bigger round of applause for Abhinav Bindra? A bigger round of applause. So, thank you everyone for staying down on Sunday. Now you all know that what goes inside the mind of an Olympian. This lot could not have been taken by anyone else because he is the only man in India to have won a gold in Olympics at a solo level. So thanks Abhinav for staying with us. Thank you all. Thank you.